Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are all having a great day. This is Eli coming back at you with another video on the Super Duper Football Show. Um, Today we're going to be going over the top 3 Week 1 fantasy performances. This is from each position, so there will be at least three top performances in fantasy from each position that you can have in fantasy. First is quarterbacks for fantasy last week. Kyler Murray was the lead dog with 34.56 points. Of course, had a really good game. 5 total touchdowns is quite a feat. Patrick Mahomes, 33.28 fantasy points at second place for fantasy points last week. Of course, had a really good win against the Browns. The Browns put up a great fight, in my opinion, but the Chiefs pulled out the win. And Jared Goff, that is a little bit of a surprise for me. I don't know about you, but I think that's a little bit surprise for me. 29.92 fantasy points, putting up almost 30. I'm pretty sure famous Jameis came just short of Jared Goff's point total. Fantasy running backs. Christian McCaffrey was the best fantasy running back in week 1, mustering up 27.7 points. Coming in at number 2, we actually have a two-way tie between Bengals running back Joe Mixon and Detroit Lions running back Jamal Williams. Both putting up exactly 25 points, no decimals after that. Both had quite good games. Joe Mixon leads the NFL in rushing. Had the most rushing yards in week 1, of course. And Jamal Williams was a huge contributor out of the backfield, averaged 6 yards a carry, and got a rushing touchdown as well. And DeAndre Swift, this has to be one of the best fantasy running back duos I've ever seen on one team, with Swift and Williams. One scored 25, one scored 24.4. That's really rare. 24.4 fantasy points for DeAndre Swift, coming in at 4th place in week 1. Fantasy wide receivers for week 1. Amari Cooper, we saw that huge game he had with 2 touchdowns against the Bucks. Thursday Night Football, first game of the season, 38.9 points to start off the NFL season. That's a good way to, make your presence felt as the number 1 in the Dallas. Tyreek Hill is number 2 with 37.1 fantasy points, most notably having a 75-yard touchdown from Mahomes against the Cleveland Browns. Deebo Samuel, which was I didn't think he'd put up as many points as he did, but I thought he'd do fine, I guess. But I didn't expect him to come 3rd in fantasy points for wide receivers in week 1. Yeah. So Deebo Samuel, 31.9 fantasy points he put up in week 1. A great performance from him. Rob Gronkowski was the number 1 tight end in fantasy points-wise with 29 fantasy points. 2 receiving touchdowns, looking like prime Gronk in New England. All of a sudden, we like to see that. Darren Waller of the Las Vegas Raiders put up 26.5 points. Came up really clutch in the Monday Night Football. TJ Hawkinson is 3rd, and he had 0.1 points more than Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce had 25.6. TJ Hawkinson also was great in week 1. So that was the top 3 tight ends for fantasy in week 1. Fantasy kickers, you can't forget the kickers. They're still significant to the team. Kickers are people too, so are punters, and you just can't ignore that the kickers exist. So I had to put them on here. Tied for first place, Robbie Gould and Joey Sly, both with 13 fantasy points. Matt Gay, kicker for the Rams, put up 12 fantasy points. The Rams were able to move the ball pretty well, which in turn led to points for Matt Gay. And a 4-way tie at 4th place between Chris Boswell, Daniel Carlson, Evan McPherson, and Greg Zerline. Um, all four of them having 11 points, 11 fantasy points this week. Uh, and up next is the last category, actually, the fantasy defense slash special teams. Arizona Cardinals had the number one DST in week one with 16 points. Of course, we saw them shut down the Tennessee offense completely. Uh, New Orleans Saints, 15 fantasy points they had against the Packers. Again, another dismal outing by the Packers offense, which led to many points for the Saints. And the Steelers, holding the Bills offense to 16 points is uh, beyond belief in a way. But the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, we all know it's elite. They put up 12 fantasy points against the Bills. They were able to stop them when they needed to. That'll do it, actually. That'll do it for this video. I plan to make this a series throughout the year. So I'll do the top three fantasy performances from each week, just like this for every position. Each week, week 2, week 3, week 4, moving on forward. So I plan to make this a little bit of a series. I've already made a playlist for it, so you can go check out the playlist if you'd like. And but that'll do it. That'll do for the video. I really appreciate you watching. Please at least consider giving us a like. Help. I mean, subscription would really help us out. And hope you all have a great rest of your day. And as always, peace out.